had this one question that would not leave my head. And it's been on my mind for a while now, maybe a couple of years, but I've decided why not finally get to the bottom of this. The question is, do we control how people perceive us, how we are presented to the world, how people might categorize us into certain aspects, into certain boxes? Are we in control of all of that? And the truth is, it's complicated, as is everything. So the thing with this question is, there's a lot of research that says we are not responsible, but I beg to differ sometimes. I say sometimes we are in control, but like not in the way you think would be in control, you know, like how a person categorizes you into a certain box has nothing to do with who you are as a person, but the way you're presenting yourself to the world absolutely kind of helps it in some sort of way, you know? Like, for example, when I think of anyone in my head, I'm usually categorizing that person by my own experiences, my own judgments, and all of that. With you, it might not be the same, you know? Every person has a way that they subjectively put people into their own box, you know? And although that's not a good thing, it's just human at the end of the day, you know? So, for example, I recently started to think about how much of your image can you control? Because if you think about it, we're not some big celebrities that can have a whole team behind them to reinvent them and to create like a brand where you see them as this loving, happy person, even though they might be the worst person ever. For example, we've seen so many rebrands, like Addison Rae has rebranded from being a TikToker to becoming a music artist. Sabrina's rebranded. A lot of people have rebranded who they are and continue to rebrand with the use of PR. Like, I think media training and having like a whole vibe and aesthetic to get down like an image you want so people can actually perceive you in some sort of way is easier said than done. Like, on the internet, you can literally create a whole persona for people to think about and to put you in like a box, if that makes sense. Like, this persona is there for you to allow people to view you the way you want to be viewed, you know? But like, I sometimes disagree with that too, but we'll get into why. Also, in real life, you can't really do that. Not really, because the thing with the internet, everything is very polished. Everything is very, let me clean my hair. Let me clean my hair is funny, but let me fix my hair, let me put on makeup, let me lymphatic drainage, you know? That doesn't even make any sense. But you get where I'm going with this, right? We can't really curate our own image to people because there are a lot of factors to play with here. For example, people's experiences, where they grew up, where they live, societal expectations, all of that. But on the internet, that's kind of eliminated because you're catering to a bigger audience and you're able to curate an image that reflects your personal brand, whether that's with music or acting or whatever, you know, like a certain color or a certain vibe. And although it might not seem like this stuff matters, it does, because everything you do, everything you wear, everything you put on kind of signals to people who you kind of are. And although it doesn't seem like it does, because subconsciously you're signaling something, whether it's the type of pants you wear or the type of shirts you wear or how baggy they are, how skinny they are, how dirty they are, what bag you're holding, if you're even holding a bag, what glasses, beard, no beard, hair, no hair. All of this stuff kind of plays a role into a lot of it. Like, your appearance does matter, but I don't think I'd go to say as far as it mattering more than who you are as a person, obviously, because I think now with TikTok, people have really pushed out that all people care about is their appearance, relationships, and all they care about is pretty privilege. And yeah, although all of this stuff does inherently exist, it's not all that matters, you know? Your personality matters, how you're raised matter, how you treat other people matters, who you are matters, you know? And you can kind of curate an image where you're a kind of a loving and kind person, but it's kind of performative because we tend to not realize how performative it is. So let's get into it. Personally, me, I've always been a victim of people perceiving me in not a good way, and I really didn't have any control over it as I was growing up because I just didn't really care and I just did whatever I wanted to do. I still kind of do whatever I want to do, but with more anxiety now, but that doesn't even matter. I'm just saying, in general, how people perceive you is not really in your hands inherently. Like, you can't make someone think something of you even if you want them to. Like, it's not something you can do. And some people might think of you in a weird or different way, and some people might think of you in a good and positive way. So I think it's just like all depends on what that person has gone through, what that person is attaching you to. And although that's like a really important aspect of your growth, and I think subconsciously you don't really realize when you put people into boxes or when you're judging them. Judging people is very human, especially when you put people into boxes. I I try my best not to judge anyone. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I'm a judgmental person at all. Used to be, not anymore, but it took me time. Actually, it didn't really take me that much time. Being judgmental and telling people that you're judgmental and being judgmental like straight on is not nice. For being honest, but being judgmental kind of has it's like barriers behind it. I don't think that makes any sense, but basically it's human. Me personally, I don't judge anyone, but my face does. Like, I don't really think much of anyone unless like something really does strike me, but usually I just might look at someone and I might give them like not a good look, but like it's not because I actually am paying attention to them, it's just because I'm thinking of something else in my head, like I'm just daydreaming. But to me, when someone does, for example, stand out to me and I think to judge them, it's usually because of what they're wearing. Like the other day I saw someone wear a very, very ugly outfit, and I mean like very ugly outfit, like something anyone would agree with me on, and it was such a bad outfit. I was just like, what are they wearing? Like, why? None of this matches. But like, I didn't judge the person because I don't know the person, you know? Although that person probably didn't think much of the outfit, it does kind of play a part of how people perceive you in some sort of way. Clothes have a lot to do with our appearance and how people perceive us. The colors we wear, if it matches or not, the accessories we hold or put on, all of this kind of puts out a vision to everyone else, or like a message to people subconsciously, whether you like it or not. And some people might like it, some people might not like it, and that's just a human thing, right? A lot of it does play a role, and I have tried to think of how to carry a perfect image, the perfect person, if there is such a thing, which actually there is not. You can't be perfect, you never will be perfect, and that's okay. But I think trying to set out a message to people of something you're not is not a good thing. That's just you being inauthentic. Some people might fall for it, some people might not. You can tell when someone's being authentic, and you can tell someone's trying, and you can tell when someone genuinely is not that person at all. Sometimes you might be wrong, sometimes you might be correct. And how we control who we are, how we are shown to people, is something that I have tried to find an answer to, especially on the internet. So usually people say we are not responsible for how people perceive us for our actions or our actions. We are only responsible for how our actions can potentially be perceived by others. So basically what it's saying is we can't control how you are perceived, but the only thing we can expect is how people perceive our actions and what we do every single day. Like, for example, posting on social media, doing bad things, all of that. People have the right to form their own opinion, you know? And the thing is with celebrities in specific, I think it's going to a point where they're kind of doing it way too much. Like, don't you think how their image is so well curated is kind of bizarre and weird? Like, I personally find it kind of freaky sometimes, although it works wonderfully. Like, I personally have fallen victim to a person's rebrand. I don't think rebrands are possible. I think you can definitely evolve, but I don't think you can actually fully change who you are, because it just won't be you, you know, whether people disagree or agree with it. And if you do want to, for example, make people perceive you in a specific way, you probably could if you put so much effort into it, which, if we're being realistic, no one's actually going to do that unless you're a celebrity. But other than that, I don't think in your day-to-day life you're going to want to be perceived by other people you don't know in a good way. And if you kind of do, that's just kind of crazy, because it's not something you should be thinking about or caring about, specifically if it has something to do with your job. Basically, you have no authority over how people view you. I think it's sometimes so annoying when people view you in not a good light, or in a way you wouldn't say is who you are at all. And I understand that, but at the end of the day, you just need to accept the fact that you can't control it. You can probably change a lot about yourself to like why they think of you in that way. You can ask why and find out why and then change yourself, but then you would be doing yourself a disservice by not being who you are. And I think that's even worse, because why would you lose yourself over someone you don't even know? And that's why I don't think you should never ask someone what they think of you, because you might hear something you don't like and you might hear something you do like, and some people are just waiting to bring you down. You know what I mean? I think there's an importance of trying not to care, and I know it's not easy to not care, but it just takes time and discipline and realizing that all you ever actually need is yourself in life. Like, for people it's easier said than done. It depends how you were raised and how you were born. Like me personally, of course I used to care what people think Didn't care for a long time, then cared for a bit. Now I don't really care. It's easier when you get older because you kind of realize that these people aren't gonna say anything. And even if they do say something, like they went out of their way to say something bad about you, like that's more embarrassing for them than it is for you. Do you know what I mean? Like it's such a difficult thing to control. And I think to be able to stop thinking about how people perceive you is to be present and to focus on your own opinion rather than other people's opinions. Because if you realize a lot of your opinions of yourself have nothing to do with how you actually think of yourself, they more or less have to do with how people have talked about you and how people have literally treated you. Like when you're younger, you never really think badly of yourself until people start saying bad things about you, and then you start thinking them yourself, and then it's like this recurring loop, you know? Over time, when you try to block out the negativity, you actually realize you're such a great person. You know, and I think it's totally human and normal to want to feel accepted and loved by everyone, but it gets to the point where you actually have to pull yourself out of the hunt for validation and the complexities of trying to fit in. You know what I mean? And the thing is, you can kind of control how you're viewed in some certain things. Like you can kind of control how you're viewed in like your wealth and status, even though I completely disagree. I don't think you can, because sometimes you can't actually tell, but sometimes you can't tell. The only thing you can tell if someone's like higher in wealth than you are or like lower than wealth than you are is by the way they're behaving and mannerisms and everything, especially in different cultures. But in general, you can't control how people think of you or how people perceive you or any of that, because everyone's opinions of you have nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. It has everything to do with how they were brought up, how they were raised, what they were taught to think, and if they still think that way. Especially in certain cultures, you can't control if a person associates you with someone or something or any of that, because they just don't grasp the idea, and so they put you in a box or they throw you in something. You know, it just takes time that with acceptance and identity and all of that. And I think as long as you're happy in your own life and you're trying to be the best version of yourself you can, you're just trying to live and feel content in life and be grateful for everything you have, I think that's the best way of not caring. Because when you actually start focusing on what you have and how grateful you are and how actually nice your life is, you will realize that a lot of it has nothing to do with how people think. Like a lot of it is none of your business. And I think for the longest time, I tried to find some sort of answer in someone else or other people, and then after a while I kind of realized the answer is within me. Like a lot of it is, and I think we tend to forget it and we tend to lose sight of ourselves. And as you grow older, especially if you're a teenager, as you grow older it will get better. Being a teenager is not fun and not easy. A lot of bad things happen when you're a teenager. A lot of good things happen, but you're just trying to understand yourself, and you're still and even now I still try to understand myself, but like I'm getting old compared to other teenagers. I'm like turning 20. Would I say I've had a good teenage experience? No. Would I say it taught me a lot? Yes. Would I say I'd like to redo it? No, I would not like to redo it. I would not like to go back into that era, because I don't really recognize that version of myself anymore, because it was a version of myself that I had been bouncing off of what people thought of me, and had been bouncing off of trying different personalities and trying to see what fits and what doesn't, and feeling like an outcast, and it's just like a whole thing, you know. And now it's not really like that. Now it's better, and I think having more confidence in yourself will allow you to feel less pressure to be perceived in an evil way and to care about how people perceive you. Especially now, I think the best way to not care is to really just take time and get to know yourself and just learn to appreciate yourself for who you are, you know. And I think that's the best thing you can do, because I just think you can always do better. You can always try harder, and you can always become a better person and care more for yourself and love yourself more. So don't put so much pressure on yourself to become this great crazy version of yourself who you don't even like, you know, just to be liked by everyone. And I think a friend to all is a friend to none. Not all the time, but I think if you're friends with everyone, okay, maybe it's just a me thing, but I personally see people who are overly kind or overly like social, kind of weird. But trauma response anyways. I think it's normal for you to care and to want to fix your appearance, to appear more put together. That's normal to want your clothes to be ironed, to want your clothes to make sense, your hair, your face, all of it just to look a certain way. But I just think with your personality, because you can control how you look from the exterior, but you can't really control how people perceive your personality inherently. And although you can change, it's not worth it because you lose who you are. And I think losing who you are is probably the worst thing, because at the end of the day, you're dying alone. You were brought into this world alone, so who the hell's here to tell you who to be? Be whoever you want to be, you know? Who cares? Who cares? Literally. And I think if you're still trying to figure out who you are, I think just don't stress it. Just takes time. Everyone has their own time and own length. I swear I feel like I'm not saying anything that's helpful. I feel like I've been saying a bunch of BS, and I hope I'm not, and I hope you actually understand something, because I think I sometimes make no sense, especially with this whole perceiving thing. Like I keep repeating the same thing, but I have some notes written down, and I think I said all of it. But yeah, I think just be yourself, love yourself. And I forgot to say a bunch of things that I forgot to talk about. So for me, perception. To me, I was always perceived as someone that was shy, quiet, and that doesn't speak much. I speak a lot. I have a lot of opinions. I especially speak with people that I'm very comfortable with. My problem is I get anxious / shy to talk to people, because I genuinely just get really overwhelmed, and I always feel like when the attention's on me, I get overwhelmed for some reason, which I still don't know why. But actually I don't know. Anyways, but for the longest time I used to get upset that people perceived me in that sort of way, that I was a quiet person. But honestly, now I just think of myself as the prize. Alright, affirmations, baby. Like, think highly of yourself. I've always thought highly of myself, but like not in certain things, and other things no. But with the quiet thing recently, I've actually been like, I'm the prize. If they want to be friends with me, they're going to put the effort in being friends with me, you know? Okay, that might sound a bit narcissistic and hypocritical as I say it, but I just think instead of always hating on myself, I probably should not do that. Don't hate on yourself. That's something I forgot to say, because hating on yourself creates way worse problems and way more annoying problems than you'd probably think. And I just don't think you should do that to yourself, genuinely. And I think if you're still in high school, you know, even though this has nothing to do with it, I'm gonna tell you some people I don't like. I hate people who are two-faced. I don't like I don't hate them, but I just don't like two-faced people. I also don't like people who don't have their own personality and like adopt people's personalities with other people. Like, for example, if you're in a friend group and that person's gonna act differently around that person because that friend group. I don't like people like that. Piss me off, because like they tend to end up treating their friends badly. Second of all, I don't like, in friendship specifically, I don't like people who blabbermouth everything, who don't know how to keep a secret, who like to gossip. I do not like gossiping at all. It's not for me. I find it annoying and draining, and I've never been a drama person in specific. I've never really been invested in it, so I don't like it. I don't like that being a part of my life. Like, I don't really have any friends who have something crazy going on, because it's so annoying. Like, find something else to talk about. Like, brother, like, talk about yourself. Why do you need to, like, I get why people talk about other people, and I sometimes you need to talk, sometimes you need to rant, sometimes you need to just hate on someone because they're pissing you off. I get that, but when it's like your whole personality, I think it's not a good thing. So that's something I hate. But those are the people that mostly have you would say they're friends to everyone, but friends with everyone, because they're not necessarily good people, good friends. And I just think they're just there because they don't know who they are, and that kind of scares them and makes them become people that they're not proud of and later on regret. I know people who, whenever I hear stories about them, I actually get really uncomfortable and really queasy. And I know queasy is such a weird word to describe it, but I genuinely just want to jump off of something because it makes me feel uneasy. And I'm usually right about this stuff, about these things, but also sometimes I'm not. Like, I remember meeting someone, I just didn't like them, something about them was off, but now I do. But sometimes I am right. I'd like to say sometimes I am right, you know? I think caring about who you are as a person is really important. I think sometimes you have to be a little bit self-obnoxious, but I think sometimes you can't also be very self-obnoxious, you know? I think it's important to balance it out. Why is Addison Rae... You guys can see Addison Rae. Who's behind Addison? Oh, Bon Iver? Okay. Yeah. Like, I think someone who has kind of changed her perception in a big, huge way is Miss Addison Rae. Compared to when she was on TikTok and now to making music, I think it's great. Have I fallen victim to the rebrand? Absolutely not, because I just think it's crazy. I just like that she's trying. I really find anyone who tries and anything really cool. Like, if you try doing something that not everyone is going to do, I find that really cool and really inspiring. I always find things like that cool. If you're just going to do like what everyone else does, kind of, it doesn't really make me inspired by you, or I find you cool, or something like that. You know what I mean? I think having niche interests is so cool. Do I have any niche interests? Honestly, I don't even know, but like sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's very subjective, confusing. Who knows? But yeah, because like when we're talking about, like, I can tell you how I perceive the world, because I can tell you some things I hate that people do and some things I don't mind. I do not like when a person is fake with, like, people, and specifically in friendships and blah blah. I've had to learn boundaries and all of that. Like, I don't like people telling me to do something when I don't want to do it, and I don't really like to hear someone forcing me to do something because I'm not going to do something. Like, I've always had that a no factor, and it's like, if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it, which has been an important part of a lot of things. So a lot of people have told me, you should do this, you should do that, you should be like this, you should be like that, and I'm like, no, I don't know you. Why are you telling me what to do? But I think I don't even know where I was going with this. I think if you're the type of friend to make fun of your friend for something they like or blah blah blah, you're lame. I think if you're making fun of someone for trying or anything, you're lame. I think if you're talking badly about your best friend that you and you're no longer best friends, I think you're lame too. When I had, like, long time ago, but when my best friend stopped being friends, I never really talked about my best friend that much. I really didn't care to talk about their personal secrets. I might have talked about the situation, but I never talked badly about them. And I think if you talk badly about your closest friends to other people, I think that's when you are not a good friend. What else? I think if you think everyone should put in effort and you shouldn't put effort is also not a good friend move. But sometimes people are busy, but like, sometimes you just don't put effort. Like, I personally have not put effort with a lot of people, but it's not because of anything. It's just life in general, you know. Don't need to get into it. Anyways, what else do I perceive? I find people who dress well really cool. I find people who do their own thing really cool, like their own projects, side things, have their own job, have something interesting about them that's like cool. People I don't find cool are people who are just like when you talk to them. Like, they talk about like such, like, they have a problem with everyone. I think if you have a problem with everyone, it's a problem. Like, I get not liking anyone, like, that's a phase, but I'm saying, like, if you have a problem with what people are doing and like you're really affected by it, I think that's when you need to reevaluate your life, because you don't even know these people and they're affecting you. Like, I just don't think that's normal. I think that's a major issue that you need to look into. I think also, I just think a lot of it has to do with growing up. A lot of it is growth, and a lot of it, people do change. Some people don't. Friends change, friends don't. Sometimes you drift apart and nothing ever happens. Like, it's fine. Not a lot of it is important, but it's fine. I think, I need to stop saying that. But I know that I personally have pushed a lot of people away, mostly because I wasn't comfortable, and so when I'm not comfortable, I don't really talk, and then I'm like, okay, I don't want to even see them, you know. So it's just like a thing like that. But like, I think in school specifically, when you're in school, I think it's detrimental. Actually, no, I think in school people just are mean and annoying, and usually the popular kids are mean and annoying and have nothing else to do. But like, it's school at the end of the day, even though I just don't think it should be there. Like, I don't know, I think bullying is wrong. And I just think people should just leave people to do whatever they want. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's not affecting you, so why do you care so much? Like, actually, like, I think unless someone's asking for your opinion, I don't think you should care. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like a brain thing. Oh, we can also talk about integrity and stuff. I don't like dupes. I think it's stealing. I don't like, these are some of my pet peeves. I don't like lying. I don't like when people are trying to avoid what they're actually trying to say. Like, get to the point. Like, just don't sugarcoat it. Say it. I hate when people aren't saying what they mean to say. It's like, say what you want to say. Like, if you don't want to hang out, just say you don't want to hang out. Like, I don't want to hang out and be like, honestly, I'm tired, I don't want to go. I think sometimes it's okay to be blunt. I think people forget it's okay to be blunt. But like, not on the internet. I think on the internet you should not speak. Oh, that's a pet peeve. I hate comments. I hate reading hate comments. It's like, do you have nothing else better to do with your life? I think that's literally all I have to say for today. I know it's not long. I know I keep making them shorter. I need to figure out something different to talk about, because I'm so sick of these heavy topics. Next topic is going to be something light and comfortable. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but that's something to look out for. Anyways, go follow the channel, subscribe, like, share, do all of that. Go follow the Instagram, go follow my YouTube, my Instagram, go follow the Substack, my personal Substack, on this podcast is Substack. And have a great day, great night. Love you so much, and thank you so much for hanging out with me and delving into this topic, even though I don't feel like we delved deep enough, and we would probably come back to this topic later on in the future. But yeah, love you, and I'll see you next time.